Welcome back to the channel. Today we're talking Group Ironman, giving you everything you should know before it releases into the game this week. My plan is to make this video as short and concise as possible, but apart from that, I will include timestamps down in the description below if you do want to jump around to any specific part of the video. First up, we'll go ahead and just start with what is Group Ironman. It is pretty self-explanatory, but rather than just being an individual Ironman where you can't trade or even interact with the Grand Exchange, in Group Ironman, it's incredibly similar, but rather than just being by yourself, you can be in a group of up to 2 to 5 players, and you can actually trade and share items with any of the members of your group. As a Group Ironman player, you'll have a new unique icon next to your name to help distinguish you from other Ironman. And in addition to that, there will be a new Ironman set purely for Group Ironman that will contain a Roman numeral on the chest plate showcasing how many members are in your group. Group Ironman will work incredibly similar to regular Ironman in terms of combat, meaning that if somebody outside of your group does damage an NPC, that drop will go to the person outside of your group and/or it will disappear. However, if only members of your group do damage an NPC, the drop will go to the member who does the highest amount of damage. Now, in terms of group content, one thing I do want to emphasize is there has been a change in relation to this in the most recent few weeks. Originally, it was proposed that you could take on bosses like Nightmare or even TOB/the Chambers of Xeric with any person outside of your group, and there would be no differences, no changes as to regular Ironman. This has recently been changed to the point that you can only do these bosses with members of your own group if you do want to keep your group's prestige status. You will be warned if you are about to partake in any content that does put your prestige at risk, and we will touch on prestige a little bit later in this video, but it is basically a little icon that will be featured on the Hiscores, basically just showcasing the fact that everybody in your group is the exact same as when it was originally formed, and they have not received any help outside of those original members. Now moving on, we have Hiscores. There will be an entirely new set of Hiscores for Group Ironman. And even on top of that, there will also be different sets of Hiscores for each different group size. Ranks will be determined by the combined total skill level first, and then by combined total experience. And it's important to note that only XP gained within your group counts for your group's total level. Meaning that if you join a group later on as an already established account, none of your prior levels will go to that new group's total level. Next up, we have player-owned houses, and in Group Ironman, you will be able to enter anybody in your group's house. Unfortunately, though, I know a lot of players were interested in a system where you would be able to enter one of your members' houses even if they weren't online or in it, but Jagex did confirm this wasn't possible on the back end, and while you will be able to enter your friend's house, they will have to be online and in their house as well. Now next up we have Recruitment, and this is a big one. One player will be the leader of your group who will establish it and create it, and all things group creation related will take place on the node. Before this though, first you will talk to the Iron Tutors who are directly beside the Mage on Tutorial Island, and you'll bounce over to the Group tab right here and select either the Group Ironman or the Hardcore Group Ironman. Once you've selected your Group Ironman game mode, you can then take the boat at the most southern dock, and you'll then arrive on the node. And the node will continue to be the Group Ironman hub, even after your initial creation. If your group does happen to disband, you'll then be able to return to the node in order to look for a new potential group. And getting back to the node will be incredibly easy because for Group Ironman and Hardcore Group Ironman, there will be a new portal right here south of the Tutors in Lumbridge. And all you have to do is go straight back through that portal and you will arrive on the node island. And now that we have Recruitment out of the way, let's go ahead and talk about forming a group. And as I stated earlier, there will only be one group leader, so if you do already have a group planned prior to release, all you have to do is have one person create the group, pick out the name, and then invite all of the members. Once you've selected a name and everybody has joined the group list, go ahead and select confirm. And after a couple insurance questions to make sure you didn't mess up, you will then become a Group Ironman. Now let's move on to all things leaving a group and finding another one. And the first one is stepping down. Similar to how clans works currently, the leader can choose to step down from their position at any time. and there is a 7-day grace period involved with this decision. Their hope is that within these 7 days, the original owner of the account can regain control and cancel out this process. Involved in this decision, though, the leader will also pick the next player to take over that role. And on top of that, if your current leader has been inactive for 30 days, leadership will be assigned to the group member who was in the group the longest. So basically, whoever was invited first will then become the new leader. And it's important to mention that this leader will not be removed from the group, they just will be demoted. Now for leaving a group, any player can always leave a group by speaking to the Iron Tutor on the node, and there is a grace period involved with this as well, and that is also 7 days in order to cancel that request. And once you have selected to leave your current group, you are placed with 2 different options. First, you can keep your group Ironman status, and if you choose this option, you'll be placed in a new group where you are now the leader. Your group size remains the same. You'll keep all your levels, stats, quest variables, and untradeable items. However, all your tradable items are deleted. And your second option is to become a regular account. You'll lose your group Ironman status, you'll be removed from the Hiscores, but you'll be able to keep all of the stuff from the previous option, and on top of that, keep your tradable items as well. Now let's go ahead and talk about boosting and prestige status. There are a few methods put into place in order to prevent group Ironman mode boosting, one of which is the prestige status. Prestige status will be visible on the Hiscores and is automatically on by default for every group once you are formed, and it is lost upon inviting anyone else into your group after its original creation. As you can see, here is what the group Ironman prestige system may look like. Now, group prestige is purely a cosmetic indication that your group consists of its original members. It is highlighted basically by a star on your interface as well as on the Hiscores, but prestige groups will be shown on the same Hiscores alongside non-prestige groups. It is also highlighted in-game via a star icon next to your name, but with individual prestige, losing it has gameplay consequences. One, not only are you subject to the wealth and item restrictions that we'll cover in the next point, but loss of individual prestige means you are now part of a group that you weren't when you originally created your account. And on top of that, you will then be subject to the wealth and item restrictions. And these are as follows. When a member joins a new group, there are hard caps on how much wealth that player can receive from existing members. And this does include shared storage, so don't think you can just drop an item and backtrack the system. Within the first week of joining the new group, your wealth is capped at 1 mil transfer, leading up to taking an entire 5 weeks before that cap is eventually lifted. And now finally, to end off the video, we're going to discuss hardcore group Ironman, and this was something that came later on down the line, and basically nobody was expecting it. A hardcore group begins with a number of lives equal to the number of players within the group, and any death from any member will result in 1 life being lost. Meaning that if you're a group of 5, your group will have 5 lives, and 1 person can lose all 5 of your group's lives. If one of your members does happen to lose a life, it will be broadcasted to your group, and any offline players will get a message immediately once they log in the next time that your group has lost one of its lives. If your group does happen to lose all of its lives, your hardcore status will be revoked, but your group will remain intact. One important thing to note is that hardcore groups cannot accept anyone else into their group. This means that by default, a hardcore group is always active with the prestige status. If any one of your members leaves or is kicked from your group will also lose one of its lives. Now, one important massive change you need to know if you are interested in trying out the hardcore group Ironman game mode. In the original hardcore group Ironman game mode, there are safe deaths, some of which include Chambers of Xeric, the Fight Caves, Inferno, Pest Control, as well as some of the PvP minigames including Last Man Standing, Soul Wars, or Castle Wars. While the PvP game modes will not change, the PvM ones will. Therefore, in hardcore group Ironman, you are able to lose your life if you do happen to die in the Fight Caves or in Chambers of Xeric. You thought hardcore Ironman was tough. Hardcore group Ironman now will provide some of the most challenging content this game has featured. But with that, that's going to do it for today's video. If you guys did find it helpful, make sure to hit that like button. It massively helps me out. And if you're around here often and not already, hit that subscribe button as well. If you're going to be playing group Ironman, there will be a few more videos coming in the next couple days that you're not going to want to miss. So make sure you are subscribed and turn that notification bell on so you're notified when the videos go live. But with that, I'll catch you guys in the next video.